Hello, everybody, and welcome to Morale Check, the only bolt action podcast hosted by both a Hoosier and a Kentuckian. I am your host this week, Spirit of Thunder, joined by.
It's me, everybody's favorite, well, second favorite Kentucky, and not the fighting type, but the regular type, Jay Napier.
We are back for some more bolt action discussion. Corey out this week, unfortunately. He and Cole are having a fight to the death to see who will be the other host of this podcast. We wish him well. We will probably not be able to tell who wins, but we'll be back next week.
They're both going to look exactly the same to me from where I'm sitting, so
Right,
best of
and
luck.
he's gonna come in. He's gonna talk about mountain gerbils, and it will be like he never left.
So, what's going on today?
Actually, hobby wise, absolutely nothing. I am in. So my brain is broken in many ways, but one of them is that I don't do well with anticipation.
Hmm.
Like if you tell me that like this happens all the time when like some of my favorite games are like leading up to the next like major update or release. They'll talk about features they're getting ready to implement that aren't in the game now. And I'll go to boot up the game as it is right now, and all I can think about is like, oh, wouldn't it be so much cooler when this stuff comes out? I'll just go play something else until then. And I am in the bolt action version of that right now. I'm Corey or Cole, depending on who wins the death match, is printing me off a bunch of Soviets for Fall Brawl coming up. And so the part of my brain that can't play a game before it gets updated has hijacked my brain, and I can't paint any of my current miniatures because all I'm going to be playing leading up to Fall Brawl is that Soviet army. So what's the point? I know the point. The point is to have a finished army, but that those two parts of my brain just aren't connecting.
It's like having
Um,
decision paralysis compounded by the fact that not only can you not decide, you also don't know what you're going to have. What's going to be in the book for the Soviets? What's going to be the best, the optimal, the correct way to build a list? So you just don't do anything until you get the book in your hands.
right, right. I've got a get you by list, and I was like, well, I can still like I can paint my rangers, and then I'm like, oh, I'd be spending time and effort and paint, and like, what if I burn myself out painting every day for the next 2 weeks, and then I get the Soviets in my hand, and I'm like, well, I've been painting every day for the 2 weeks. Why would I want to paint these? And then I show up with Silver Surfers. It really is just like decision paralysis. It's a good way to put it. How about you, Jay? What you been up
I've had a little bit of the same kind of thing going on. I've got a tournament coming up. We may have mentioned it once or 35,000 times. The Fall Brawl in Elizabethtown, Kentucky.
It is the unofficial fourth host of this
Yes.
podcast.
So as we know, it is a winter themed. It's based on a winter war scenario, late 30s, and I have decided, yeah, I'm going to bring my French, which is great, except that my French are some early 40s boys with pretty little flowers on their bases and not a single coat to be seen among the lot of them. So I've got to get some skis made up, and I've got to print some Chasseurs Alpines and put some skis on them and make them look different than my regular guys, and it's a lot. It's a lot to consider.
That is a lot right there. I will say some people who know me in real life are very well aware of the fact that I'm unfortunately a Francophile. I fell in love with the language, the culture, and the country, and so I'm very excited for when the French get their book.
I also like Jerry Lee Lewis cheese and words that have lots of L sounds in them. Maybe not to the same extent as you, but the challenge for me and the appeal of the French army is that no one expects you to do any good with it. So if you go in and you bomb, hey, great. Well, what do you
I
want?
was supposed to do
I was
that.
playing
Yeah,
French, yeah.
right. Yeah. I have a get you by list. You have the armies of book. Like, come on
That's
now.
right. But what I've found by playing the French, I've won a couple tournaments with them, and
That's
it
incredible.
changed the way that I played my French list because currently in the Get You By list, being able to fire twice with your artillery observer can be oppressive, especially if you're taking a recce platoon with an RD observer and then your regular rifle platoon also with an RD observer. And just for fun, throw a couple of medium howitzers in there as well. That's a lot of HE flying around the board, and
That is that is an oppressive amount of
it's
HE.
too much. And I changed my list after the first time that I played it configured that way because I don't want to be that guy.
It's what's on the line and who are you facing,
Right.
most importantly. I wish we could do I I don't know of any tabletops that do this, but I do know of some competitive games that let you submit two or three builds that you can switch between.
Yes.
And I do wish it would be a nightmare to balance, especially for a small tournament. I could see like a larger tournament or something with some official backing, like a qualifier or something.
A,
Just because it lets you, it really pushes the generalmanship aspect of it, you know?
a couple of words that you use together there that are interesting to me: tournament and balanced. Because I think in a historical game like Bolt Action that wants to be a beer and pretzels happy fun little game,
Right.
like we call it, it's a game about a movie about World War II. A lot of times we try to turn that into a vehicle for a great balanced competitive gaming situation. And honestly, I think Bolt Action is best when it is played, and this is going to be, oh, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I think it's best when it's played historically, and you take an
I
army that looks like something that would have existed in World War II.
I think that, and this could be a whole discussion in its own right. I do think that when it comes to the massive air quotes competitive scene, there is a little bit of a clash of doctrine and philosophy.
Yes,
Because I've heard it described as beer and pretzels. I've heard I don't know if it was them or if it was someone that Goonhammer was interviewing that was like, yeah, we intend for this to be a little bit more casual than your Warhammers, than your Age of Sigmars. I understand as Warhammer, but you know what I mean. And I mean, even we, like, I was, when Corey and I were playing the other day, we played as very, as we call it, co-opetitive.
yes.
We're still in competition with each other, but it's like, oh, hey, if you don't move, you get a +1 to hit me. Like, you're in a pretty good dug in position right there. It's not like I'm trying to like cheese you out of it. This is a better call, you know.
And in a friendly
But at the
game,
same time, you want the dice
right?
to whiff. You know,
In a
yeah.
friendly game, that's really good because you are essentially talking through the rules with each other, making sure that you both have the same understanding of the way that the game works for the good of the experience that you two are having together, the social contract of gaming being that you,
Good way to
you
put it.
don't beat somebody because you know the rules better than them or because you convince them that you know the rules better than them.
Oh man,
Yeah.
yeah. We both know who we're talking about there. No, and it's like if I beat someone, I want it to be because, well, one, the dice were in my favor, but like because you outsmarted or outwitted your opponent, not because they just fundamentally didn't know how to play the game or missed something,
Yes.
you know.
Absolutely. And honestly, the thing that people tend to remember the most about their games of bolt action, you may not 100% remember who won and who lost any particular game, but you're going to remember when your opponent's Wirbelwind foobarred and turned around and gunned down one of his own squads. Or you're going to remember when
Oh,
you needed
absolutely.
just got to pass this morale check with my vets who have got one pin on them, and I'm going to win the game. And then all of a sudden, they decide, you know what, we're just going to run off the board. You're going to remember the funny things and the interesting things.
Very funny you mentioned that because we had a moment because it was the dice can hear you.
Yes,
The dice know what is going on because it was Ori and myself on one team. We were playing Brits, and on the other team was Caleb and one of Corey's friends whose name escapes me right now. And I don't want to just say a name because, in the grand tradition of me, I will have screwed up his name.
let's call him Fred.
we'll call him Fred. That's not his name, but we'll call him Fred. Corey and I were talking because Corey, big V2 guy, pins all over the place in V2. Rally doesn't clear all pins. It cleared D3 plus 3, I want to say, or D3 plus
Hmm.
1 or something like that. Pins were handed out left and right. Each individual pin reduced the chance to hit by one. You had a lot of super six situations. And, we could talk all day about differences between version 2 and version 3, but he was like, a single pin doesn't do anything. Well, Caleb goes to roll for his Panzer 3. Panzer 3 has a single pin marker on it, taking it from a 9 to an 8. In range of the lieutenant, though, so, back up to a 9. What's he do? He rolls an 11.
Nice.
Even a single pin marker introduces a 1 in 36 chance of something hilarious happening.
Absolutely.
You know, and when you think about how many times you're rolling a dice in a match, that's inevitable. It's not odds are. It's not if, it's when.
I agree.
Someone's getting the twin sixes, and it will be at the worst possible time, and it will be very funny when it happens.
Yeah, one of the funniest instances of the evil dice that I have experienced. One of the guys in the Louisville club, the Fighting 502nd down here, he brought a German anti-aircraft piece, the drilling. It's basically an SDKFZ 251 with three autocannons on.
Oh, the 15 millimeter. Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
gross. And every time,
It's
yeah,
disgusting.
he brings it out, and everyone's like, oh, here you come with that thing again. This is terrible. I can't believe this. Well, in one particular game, he had three foo bars, all with that particular piece.
And it didn't run off the
It
table?
No, instead it gunned down a lot of his army. He scored more kills against his own army than his opponent did. His opponent killed like
That's
it took out
incredible.
like one guy, one miniature, one individual gentleman. And then the drilling, they took out like three squads.
That's incredible.
But we still remember that.
The the dice moment that I had wasn't anything that happened to me. Luckily, it just means my time is coming. Like I'll be playing against Corey, or we'll be like teaching somebody the game, or we'll be at a local tournament, and I'll like pass all these impossible checks, and he'll be like, "That's great." And I'm like, "No, that means it's gonna happen during Fall Brawl."
Yes.
The point of these matches is to get it out of the system. I want to Fubar. This is what I don't want to drive down to Louisville or Elizabethtown and then just straight Fubars, like 3 months worth of built up Fubars, all hitting me at once. But against Tim during the Lafayette tournament, Operation Unwavering Resolve, he had a machine gun team that was lined up perfectly against one of my guys. Fubars, friendly fires, and just absolutely mows down this inexperienced rifles like skirmisher squad that he had. It was had it been a roll to hit me would have been gorgeous. Would have been like I would have been like, you know what? How do you? I lost to that, but no, just wipes them. They have to take a morale check because they lose half their squad. They fail that, and it's his medium machine gun team was more effective than like two of my squads.
And in our game system, our fun little happy game about a movie about World War II that has so many opportunities for something to go hilariously bad, as a community, we still try to beat on it and make it conform into being a competitive, balanced game. And I just don't think you can do that.
No, I don't think you can either. Not without fundamentally changing how some things work.
And that being said, I do not want to fundamentally change this game. Let's just
I don't
keep it
either.
fun.
I quite like the system we have. That being said, speaking of attempting to fundamentally changing the system, the winter rules.
Yes.
So I wanted to pick your brain about the winter rule system. I don't know. I know Sean has been one of the people talking about the rules a lot. I don't remember if he was the one answering the questions in the Q and
He
A.
was, yes.
I don't know how the power structure works among the TOs for Fall Brawl, but I know you're in there somewhere, right?
I'm kind of I'm in the advice and consent area of that whole situation. I told the guys that I would help them out if they needed to hit the ripcord. I was there for them. But for the most part, this is their baby. I like to do a tournament in the spring, and they like to do one in the fall. So I run mine, they run theirs, and we help each other out as we are able. Sean is
That's really nice.
Sean is our guy. He's our history guru. He's got a number of degrees. One of them happens to be in military history, and he's
Oh, that's
like
incredible.
myself. He is a veteran. He was a Marine. I was Navy, so we have a lot of time teasing each other about that. But his interests are very much in not only historically plausible, but actual units that served. He wants to build
Sure.
his army to look exactly like the order of battle for a particular group. He wants their uniforms to be right. He wants their ranking insignias to be right. It's a lot of fun for him and for people who are playing against him. Does he win all the time? No. Does he have a
Ah,
good
he
time?
he
Yes.
he brought home the wooden spoon,
That's
right?
right.
I want to say he brought home the.
He's
Yep.
got a streak of those going right now. It's really kind of impressive.
It's if you can't be first, then be last. It's just as memorable.
Well, don't look at it as being last. Look at it as being the best at winning the wooden spoon.
You know, something he's uncontested in right now, I
Yes.
believe. I was gonna say, first off, it's really cool that he does all that. I am still working on like painting like shadows on
Hmm.
gloves. Malevolent Uwu posted an incredible painting piece today, and I do not know how she did that
Yeah, that looks great.
because oh man, there's so many. The fineness of the brush she would have had to use some of them. I'm working on shadows, let alone insignia. But I wanted to pick your brain about the winter rules,
Yes.
specifically the snow rules, because and any discussion, and I want to couch this ahead of time. I want to get ahead of this. I think that them coming up with this full system for these rules is incredible. This took time, effort, patience, and a level of trial and error that I don't have the patience for. That being said, they did at the end of the day turn about a paragraph in the rule book into a fully fleshed out system. And despite their best efforts, that comes with some peculiarities, we'll
Yes.
call them.
Yes.
And so I wanted to kind of pick your brain on what you thought about the winter rules. To go over it real well, do we want to go over a quick overview of the winter
Yes.
rules and then get into them?
Yeah, let's give the basics about the winter rules. Like you said, it's about a paragraph in the book. It is for, hey guys, if you want to try a winter fight, you should do something along the lines of this. Not a lot of guidance. It does say that the rules for snow are that snow will count as rough terrain for the purposes of movement. So ordinarily, no wheeled vehicles can move through that, no running through that, and your infantry, if they have skis, they can travel over it as per normal, so they can run. But then you have the guys who say, well, what about my what about my Geberjäger? They've got Fieldcraft, and Fieldcraft says that they can move through rough terrain with no problem. Okay, yes, I get that, but Geberjäger also have the ability, I believe, to buy skis on top of having Fieldcraft. So does that mean that Fieldcraft does not implicitly give you the ability to just zoom over the snow? Or does that mean, well, you can take the skis because they also give you a bonus when you're crossing ice? But anyway, yes, snow must move as though it was rough ground. Wheeled vehicles cannot move at all. Soviet tanks, however, get a blanket permission to just move as normal because hey, Soviet tanks, they had those wider tracks. They can just blast right on through the snow, no problem. Not really balanced. I don't really think that all Soviet tanks should get that, but that's what the single paragraph says. So that's what we're going with. Ice rules. Anytime you're getting ready to cross over an area of ice, you got to make a d6 roll and see what happens. Pluses and minuses based on what type of unit is doing the maneuver. And frostbite. which is, oh my gosh, Frostbite had caused such an uproar because you have to.
It has fundamentally changed how I've built
Yes,
my list for this.
absolutely.
And I think that's the point. I think that is 100% the point. No no single lieutenants, no single teams at all. Everyone's coming in veteran or with people that can be sacrificial lambs. That will make more sense after I don't cut you off and let you explain it.
Because when you come on the board, you have to essentially make a die roll. I'm not going to say it's a morale check, because just like counts as difficult terrain, this roll uses your morale value, but is not a morale check. If you're a vet, you need to roll a 10. If you miss that by 2, if you roll a 12 instead of a 10, you lose 2 guys out of your squad. Or if it's a vehicle, that vehicle is considered immobilized. The trick about this, the big secret that may or may not be common knowledge at this point, is that another thing that's going on at the Fall Brawl, at the Winter War, is all of the missions are going to be meeting engagements where you use the first wave mechanic to get on the board. So everybody's got to move onto the board. So if you get your immobilized result, your vehicle does not make it. If the vehicle does not make it and they're carrying troops, the troops then have to make their frostbite roll with an additional -1. So the discussion has been, well, everybody's got to be in some kind of a transport to make them a little bit more survivable. So, hey, why don't we just use boats?
And that's where I can take over
Yes,
with my little boat
there you
list.
go.
I mathematically at one point, because I know we talked about this last episode, but it was towards the end. Mathematically, the most amount of boats you can have in a 1,000 point list. Let me double check this. Is I believe 30. You can have 30 boats in a 1,000 point list.
That's a lot of boats. Snow technically it's water
It
elementally,
is
yeah.
water.
So what better place to use a boat? This didn't go over too well with the guys who are running this tournament. And like any good players, we all just beat it like a completely massive dead horse until I think we almost drove them insane.
I think we almost did. They did compile a massive Q&A that was just getting like even people who I felt so bad for the people who were coming in late and weren't really aware because they were like, "Hey, I have this question." They're like, "Here's the Q&A."
Yeah, just look at this.
but
For God's sake, don't mention a
but
boat.
the, but yeah, the boat wall. I do think it, and I'm sure we will probably get it at some point during like the scenario books when those start coming out. But a point I brought up at the time is that, okay, Soviets get to ignore this because this is obviously like it is one of the few times in the book where you can just look at a paragraph and you're like, oh, this is about like a Battle of Moscow
Right.
scenario that you're home building. This is about a Battle of Stalingrad. This is about like Bagration. Well, that was in June. That doesn't really count. But the Caucasus, Case Blue. This is about that. The Germans, by late 42, early 43, they had started making modifications for their tracks, widening them out. I believe it was called the
Hmm.
Kaisertracken. Um, Forgive my pronunciation there. American vehicles, like American tanks, because we sent a boatload of a bunch of different types of tanks over to the Soviet Union. The Soviets were very happy with the Sherman's performance in the snow. Um, Obviously, the French didn't really have to worry about that, and then by the time they had to worry about that, they were using American and British vehicles.
Right.
British vehicles didn't really get off the mainland, don't have to worry about them. But it's like you do have other nations that could potentially take snow rules, but they weren't mentioned. There's no points value for it. It's not like a 10 point upgrade gets you these tracks or anything. So I'd be very interested to revisit this kind of thing once we start getting scenario books.
Now, talking about a 10-point increase giving you an option to do things that you ordinarily would not be able to do. It was discussed among the guys running the show for the Fall Brawl that not having wheeled vehicles allowed at all was a little bit much. That's a little oppressive. So,
Yeah, like 10 points for
yeah.
chains, you know.
So tire chains, yeah. We're going to let you put tire chains on your wheeled vehicles, and then they will be able to not move normally, but they will at least be able to advance in the snow. I thought that was a nice compromise. Because,
I think that is
we're
too.
given one paragraph. It's an afterthought. It's like, hey, look at this, guys. You should do something like this. One paragraph, snow rules. And they have
Right.
used the snow rule, and they have used the points limit, the order dice limit, all in a way to form the type of event that they are envisioning. They don't want to see a big pile of tanks out there. Somebody's probably going to do it, but this is supposed to be
Probably.
more like an infantry fight, a desperate fight out in the snow where Mother Nature, General Winter, is the biggest opponent. And oh yeah, by the way, there's also guys in that foxhole over there shooting at you.
Do not fear General Winter. He cracks down on everyone equally.
Yes,
I think it'll be very interesting just from the early discussions I've seen. A lot of people taking Germans, funny enough.
right.
I know of a couple finished lists. I've seen a couple finished lists that worry the hell out of me. As I have mentioned before, I there is one singular person I hope to be paired against while I'm there because I have to drop a fighter bomber on
Right,
him
right.
because he and this can transition into our next topic quite neatly there. We're professionals at this point. We've done a transition. So there was a discussion one day about flak and taking dedicated flak. I'm not gonna get into the pintle mounted flak discussion. I'm gonna let that stay dead where it is. It doesn't need to be dug up. But there was a discussion about and somebody was like, I don't take flak because I think that planes have too high of a probability of missing. And I took personal offense to that. So for those that don't know, I'm a test pilot as my day job, and I like my planes. I like my physics defying birds. I like my big metal flying objects, and so I've been building a list. I've been running polls on Twitter on my stream Twitter to see what plane I should take because my whole job is to drop a 2,000 pound bomb on this guy.
So, in your experience as a test pilot, have you found that you have a incredibly overwhelming probability of catastrophic failure?
No, but I also ground fire isn't something I've had to worry about up to this
Up to
point,
this point, yes.
thankfully. Yeah, I was kind of grounded during the whole, for unrelated reasons, I was grounded anyway during the whole drones over New Jersey panic.
Yes.
So, no, Cletus wasn't out in his yard taking pot shots at me,
That's
thankfully.
good.
But no, it's I'll harp on about one of the safest forms of travel. Now I understand why Warlord nerfs the ability to call in airstrikes as hard as they do because have you seen the catastrophic damage that a successful airstrike can pull off?
It's it's depressing. When it goes right,
It
it is as the recipient of a couple of those, it's pretty rough.
even a strafing run, I played against a guy. He called in a strafing run pretty right off the rip. I didn't have a chance to really move my guys too much, and it I had to spend the next turn rallying them because it was just the odds were too high. And so one airstrike, first off, killed a bunch of my guys, pinned a bunch more. But then I had to rally 4 units that next round just to make sure they didn't do something funny.
Yes.
And so even though the strike was only massive air quotes a strafing run, it locked me down for essentially 2 turns.
And really, that's the
And the fact that it tracks a unit as
yes.
opposed to being marked to a location, that's tough. That is tough.
So much more than in V2. V3 is about forcing the other guy to do things that he does not want to do. The other guy, the other girl. Um, it's not so much about what can I bring that's going to completely wipe out the most units. No, it's about what can I bring that is going to deny my opponent free movement. What is going to make them afraid to move out into the open? What is going to make them have to spend time on rallies instead of taking objectives? I don't even concern myself with
Every
trying. Oh, what's the most deadly thing I can bring? I don't care. Bring me something with utility.
It is why the M15, a vehicle that did not see much fame or success in the real world, the M15, the American anti-aircraft vehicle, two HMGs and a heavy autocannon, is one of the deadliest units in my arsenal right now.
Yes,
Bar almost none. It is every turn that thing is out. Granted, it's open topped and it's thin skinned. It's an armor car. It's a 7 plus. Every turn that thing is looking at you, it is 8 dice, all with at least a penetration one coming at you.
it's a high priority target for everybody else on the board. Yes,
Every time I have deployed it, someone has gone, ah, shit.
yes,
Because it has changed. You talk about, like, this game is all about the action economy. And it's just by having something in an area, it forces your opponent to work around it, move around it. Because now they've got to spend significant resources either avoiding that thing's massive arc of fire, because it's a turret mounted 48-inch minimum weapon, or now they have to throw significant forces into killing it. You either got to commit like a heavily armored vehicle, because it can still, put pins on, unless it's
right.
veteran. It could still put pins on vehicles. It chews up infantry. You've got both HMG and HE templates coming at you. So and then it's probably not going alone. I always keep that screened with infantry for a reason. It's like, even if all that thing does is sit in the corner, that's my corner.
Exactly. Yes.
These are my 2 lanes. You're not coming near.
And supporting those with infantry is extremely important if you want to have success with support units like that. And it's a support unit. You got to treat it
It
like
is. It's
one.
not a frontliner.
But a lot of guys, I'll see them. They'll come on with a bunch of mechanized infantry, a big line of half tracks, machine guns bristling on them, and then they dump the guys out on the back line and drive the half tracks forward. It's like, what are you doing, friend? That's maybe not the best idea. You gotta keep your support stuff supported by the infantry. Keep it from getting charged. Keep it from taking fire all of the time, every time.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a little guilty of this. During the Lafayette tournament, I kind of used my half tracks as mobile fire support
Yes,
platforms.
I saw
I
that.
used them as HMG carriers.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that. Yes.
They're like, oh, who's going in that half track? Oh, no one.
You had him in cover at
I'm using
least.
Rangers. They get a 12-inch
Right.
run. Like, it would be detrimental for me to do that, actually. But it's a pair of, because I used two of them and I used them in tandem. It's a pair of HMG trucks,
Yep.
essentially. They can be snap two'd on a lieutenant. I don't recommend this. There are better things to use as an HMG carrier. Any armored car is going to be better than that. An anti-aircraft gun would be better than that. But yeah, poor man's HMG wagon.
Yes. It'll do the job. The first time somebody fights against it, it'll be a surprise for them. When you start bringing it a second or a third or a fourth time, by then they will have figured out how to deal with it.
It is definitely a trick that only works once,
Yes.
because yeah, because they're like, oh, he's not gonna do anything with it, and then they roll up onto your flank,
And it's like, whoops.
and you're like, wait a minute. But yeah, you don't pull that trick
No.
twice. You like, oh, Cameron's got his Cameron's not putting anything in his APCs. I know what he's doing with
Right.
this. All that being said, though, you had an opportunity to check out BattleMat.
Yes. Our great friends at BattleMat Bazaar and SprueDude.com provided the 502nd with 3 battle mats and 3 cut and play terrain sheets. These were, and I've gotten mats from Battle Mat Bazaar before, and it was like the low pile plush blanket type mat with the printed graphic on it, and it's great. I loved it. You can put things underneath of it, a pile of books, a shirt from yesterday that didn't make it into the laundry yet, whatever, and you lay this blanket over top of it, and it makes little hills, and it's fun. It's nice. But I noticed that these new ones said that they were made from a different material. It said these are new Felt Pro mats. It's like, huh, okay. I don't know what this is. So when I received them, I opened them up, and they were very much like a felt consistency, but even thicker than just a standard craft felt that you might find at a hobby store that a lot of people use to make their fields or cut and make their roads or whatever. And the printing on them, whereas the printing on the blanket style mats, you run your hand over it in one direction, and all of a sudden, all of your print is about 2 degrees off and just kind of looks weird. But these, they were pristine. No wrinkles in the mat when you put it down. The mat is very strong. The mat lays flat. I have rolled it up a couple of different ways. I have tried to introduce wrinkles into it, but it's nice. It's got a good weight to it, and we've had a lot of fun testing
And
these out. And I mentioned the cut and play. The
we
cut and play mats are the same material, but they have printed on the larger piece individual road sections, individual fields and gardens, individual river sections. And we're hoping to have one of those at the Fall Brawl in Elizabethtown. We are going to be giving away, as one of the prizes, a fully decorated wargaming board, including the mat and all of the terrain that's going to be deployed on that mat for the game.
that is something that wow, that is actually incredible because that's not something you can just buy. A lot of prize sports just like unopened boxes of what have
Yeah,
you.
and
But that is
we're gonna
incredible.
hand out
Whole board.
the fully painted terrain. You get your trees, you got your bushes, you got your board. Provide your own table. We're not going to provide you a table.
You
And bring your own
can get one of
miniatures.
those for like 20 bucks from
Yeah, no
Walmart.
problem, no problem. But we're all about promoting the game and trying to help people get into it at a low cost.
But no, it looked incredible. I saw you guys were playing at the VFW, I believe it was, and near where you guys were, and the pictures looked incredible.
That's a really good place to
We're not
play.
sponsored, by the way. This is just friends of the podcast,
Yes,
friends of the 502nd.
we try to
Not a sponsorship. We don't get anything from it. It's just a really good quality mat.
we try to support our local vendors and Battlemat Bazaar and Sprue Dude and also Historique. They make a series of markers for Bolt Action and for other games. Those are all local to the Louisville area and members of the club, friends of the club. So if you've never checked out Historique, you should give them a look as well.
History.
Hmm.
I honestly, one of the hardest things about uh, playing and getting into this sort of thing is it's very easy to find all the official materials. Like you can get MDFs off of Warlord's website. You can Warlord obviously sells this stuff. If you're googling Warlord models or bolt action models, eventually Rubicon's gonna pop up, something like that. If you're here in the United States, terrain building has been one of the most difficult gateways that I've had. I mean, as of right now, when I play on my kitchen table, I now have a battle mat, so I have that going down. But it's been, rice boxes and essentially D&D terrain that's been repurposed
And there's nothing
into
wrong with
my.
that. I talk
No, there's not, but it's like some people really do want that cinematic. Not me, I can't afford that.
right.
But some people really do want that cinematic thing, and it's not something you can buy pre-built. And so you'll look up like how to make terrain or how to get terrain, and you'll find all these fantastic guides. But as someone just getting into it, it's like, great, I got to build something else. I've had to build 45 of these miniature guys, two tanks, an artillery piece, and now I have to go learn arts and crafts to make a forest.
When we all started our first steps into miniature gaming, wargaming, for me that was in the 80s. Yes, the 1980s. That's how old I am. And we were kind of making up
Way
our
back in the time of
yes, yeah, when
dinosaurs.
dinosaurs roamed the earth. We were using whatever we had. We had train sets. One of the main guys in our little group had a train set in his basement, and man, we turned that thing into every conceivable battle in World War II. So we're using HO scale train buildings and 1/72nd scale miniatures because that was prevalent at the time. And boy, we tried to paint them. We did our best, but we're all teenagers in a small room with enamel paints.
Smaller
Yeah,
minis.
so we did our best. But we had so much fun. And I find as I get older and become more, oh, capable of expenditures, I want my boards to look nice too. And that involves a lot of work. That involves learning, like you said, arts and crafts. That involves looking out and finding unique things, finding things you don't see on every other table. As the aesthetics matter a lot more than they did when we were just learning to play the game. A lot of my enjoyment comes out of playing a well-painted army and doing it on a good-looking thematic board. So I put some effort into that.
I'm teetering on the edge because I know for a fact it's going to be. I'm about to have three ish 1250 point armies between my German army, my Americans, and when Corey puts me the Soviets. I just want to say up front, I didn't ask him to print the Soviets. Corey is just a very generous person.
Corey's an enabler.
Uh,
Er-
Corey is an
Every
enabler
time I run into
because
Corey somewhere, he's like, "Hey, man, I brought you a couple miniatures here," and he just hands me stuff. I'm like, "What are you doing, Corey? Stop this! I don't have any of these guys yet. Now I'm gonna have to make an army for them." He's
well, it's a little insidious too because he'll give you this stuff, and he's 100% not doing this intentionally. He's not a malicious person, exceptional human being. But then he'll be like, "Oh, I was gonna get this terrain stuff for like my bases next," or like, I was looking at these STL files, and you're like, "Well, shit, you've already given me like $100 worth of stuff for free.
right.
I'll get them for you." And then before you know it, you're part of a Google Drive which has like 100 STL files in it, and I've got a bunch of terrain in my car because I'm painting it for him right now for Fall Brawl. He got like a Soviet like burnt out rail station for Fall Brawl,
Nice.
and so I'm helping him paint that. But it's I think it would have been very easy for me to bounce off of this hobby after dropping some money on it because as Corey and I were kind of talking last time, I bought the American V3 stuff without really having anyone to play it with. I Where I lived at the time there wasn't a bolt action presence. It's a smaller game. Um when I moved to the Indianapolis area, I met Caleb first and then Corey through Caleb. Honestly, if those two hadn't kind of been as insistent as they were that like, hey, come out and play with us. Like, come hang out even if you don't have an army painted up. I've got spares. That is kind of what kept me into the hobby. I'm not going to lie cuz it was a little worrying at first because I bought the winter American infantry set. I put them all together. I started painting them, and then I realized I had no one to play with, and I was like, "Did I just drop $120 on something that I can't do? Did I just drop like more money than I care to admit on something that is now going to have to sit on my shelf?"
That's one of the things
But
about
I
this
really,
game is if you're going to build an army, build two. Build two small forces.
yes,
In that way, you can, like Corey and like Caleb, say, "Hey, I've got this other army. You should try this game out. Just try it once.
that
It's not
is
going to hurt." Oh yeah,
that it's a gateway, and that is how I got my best friend into it. Because I went on to my German force. I had a little extra money, and I went on to mini swap. Just found somebody getting rid of his Germans. Really good deal for him. I got about a 1,200 point army from him for about a hundred
nice.
bucks, which was incredible, pre-painted and everything. And I had those, and I was just like, "Come over, we'll hang out. I'll explain some basic rules to you, and we'll chat because we haven't seen each other in a while, and we'll hang out and we'll play." And now we're going up to a local game shop to play pretty frequently because that's how they get you.
Something that
It's a gateway
Yeah,
drug.
something that the 502nd has done is we have developed. We're up to 6 now missions that we call Bolt Action Boot Camp, and it's laid out as far as how do you set the board up, where do each uh, defensive player unit, where do they deploy, and it walks you through learning the rules without telling you that you're learning the rules. The first mission,
You can't tell somebody they're learning
right,
something,
is in there. You're gonna lose
then they
them.
won't learn.
But the mission one of Bolt Action Boot Camp, you end up learning cover effects, movement through cover, how cover saves are affected by the terrain that you're in, and they're all designed for the attacker to win. The guy who's the defender will always be the one teaching the game, and you are instructed like, hey, if you have an option to either shoot at some guys who are in the open or go on ambush or go on ambush or go down. Don't just try to roll the
Right.
guy. That's I've seen so many first-time bolt action players get disillusioned by just getting stomped in their first couple of games by overzealous folks that every gaming club has them at some point or the other.
Oh
You
yeah.
got the guy who wants to win, 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 and he'll
You got the guy that you don't have play against new people.
yes, you got the mad dogs, and then you've got the guys who are good trainers. Take the mad dogs to the tournaments and let them go out there with the other mad dogs. Don't let them teach the new guys though.
No, no, we want them to come back.
Yes,
That's especially if your first experience with uh with this sort of thing was like introduction to like I'm gonna throw out Company Heroes because it's one of the
right.
if you played something like Company Heroes, maybe Men of War if you're a real sociopath, and you're like, okay, I know these sorts of things. I'm gonna do this. This works, but you haven't realized that Bolt Action has just enough different rules that if you do that, you're gonna get smoked.
Yes,
Then you're just gonna get stomped by someone who realizes very quickly, oh, you don't know what's going on.
right.
And so, yeah, you're gonna get shredded. You have no cover saves. I have a light machine gun and three SMGs, and you're 4 inches away. And so now I'm hitting on twos and I'm throwing 12 dice.
Yeah, that's the way I was taught how to play Warhammer 40K. So the guy that I was
Oh,
playing
just
against,
brutal.
he knew the game. I did not know the game. He's like, "Oh, come on over. I'll teach you how to play." And then he just proceeds to murder me, and then sold me the army afterwards. So, yeah, we don't like doing that in Bolt Action. We like to be a friendly community and help out the new guys.
But Warhammer also has that, it's got a developed base. There's two separate games workshops in and around Indianapolis. There's two stores that sell bolt action
Right.
stuff. So you can go to any hobby store and find Warhammer. I haven't played 40K in years because it grew past what I was capable of keeping up with. Um, I've been told I need to check out Age of Sigmar because it's Warhammer for people who want to play Warhammer. Um, I'm not sure what that phrase means, but someone out there just connected with
Yeah.
it, and that's the important part.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay historically adjacent at the very least with my gaming because for so many years I played games that my friends wanted to play.
Right.
And eventually I changed my game and changed some of my friends, and I'm not looking back.
I've been lucky, and I've been able to be the one getting people into this game.
Yeah,
And luckily, I'm going from the pipeline of D&D players to tabletop playing. Like we play D&D with miniatures and battle maps. So I'm like, yeah, it's like the same thing. It's you're moving minis who have specific actions they can take and only a certain amount of those actions and you're throwing dice. And then you don't mention that it's a lot of them. There's like four more rules to keep track of and minis will be coming off frequently. Don't get attached to your
in a lot
guys.
of ways though, there is some role-playing element to bolt action where a lot of guys
There
will
really
you'll give
is.
your guys names. You'll have like there's Lieutenant Jones over there. He screwed up last battle and consigned his infantry to a terrible loss. Let's see how he does this time, and it helps build stories when you give it a little bit of personalization. So let's talk a little bit
Wait,
about our lieutenants and our captains and our people that we give names, and discuss what your philosophy on army building is because I heard that in another episode of this beloved podcast, Corey had different ideas.
I really appreciate being able to have this episode with you one on one because it feels like we're sitting in front of a fireplace, drinking respective beverages, and waxing philosophic about the problems with the world and how we would fix it. Whereas discussions with Corey are much closer to a verbal game of bolt
Yes,
action.
we love Corey.
We love Corey, and I love that. I love my discussions with him on that. We have very differing
Yes.
philosophies on army building. I have one main philosophy, and then the thing I am doing for Fall Brawl, which I'll get into afterwards. But my main philosophy is I like having a response for everything. I think that to avoid, I won't pull up my evening robe a little bit and talk about on war or Clausewitz or anything like that. But I do like to. I'm a very reactive player. I'm very much allow my opponent. It's the difference between giving initiative and making it seem like the opponent is has the initiative,
Yes.
whereas I'm like taking stock of the situation. Now, I don't want you to think for a second this is any sort of pretentiousness because I'm bad at this. At the end of the day, I'm not actually that intelligent. But I do like to react a little bit more than I like to be aggressive, which has bitten me in the rear a few times when aggression really was what was called for. But I don't want to say I exercised restraint as much as I just didn't capitalize on opportunities. Because exercising restraint sounds like it was the thing I should have done. Whereas, tearing a hole through the line and then charging through was what I should have done. But I was like, but he could potentially do this. But he wasn't even thinking about that. So I just missed an opportunity.
Well, it is.
But I do. I like to have a response to every
It is
situation.
absolutely valid to be very passionate about a particular way of playing and simultaneously just be terrible at it. So that's fine.
Yes, and that is my whole like I'm glad lovable idiot is an archetype that people like because it's all I got.
You just smile
Like,
and everyone likes you. It's great.
yeah, yeah, it's great. It's they use big words when they don't want you to catch on to what they're talking
Right.
about. But no, it's my lists are pretty much always gonna have an observer of some description because I'm a broke gambling addict. Like I don't go to the casino because I know what that does to my
Right.
brain. I don't play gacha games. I don't open loot boxes and I don't go to the casino because I would not be able to sell.
Right.
And that's why I take air
You
observers
know your
because that
limitations.
is the yep, it is the same thing. It is I don't want to say free because I did have to buy $100 set to get them, but I don't have to spend more money. I just get to gamble every
I
time.
feel a lot the same with my idea of army composition. I like to have options. I like to have things that support each other. I like to have units within my army that synergize well with other units within my army. One of the things that I've been trying to push on my local group in Louisville, use ambush. Use it more than you
Oh
do. It is
yes.
so effective. And
Sometimes the best thing to do in that moment is nothing, and ambush is that order.
yeah, if you decide later
And you
on,
could trigger it at any
yep,
time.
you just got to be responding to movement. And so many times somebody waits until you're out of order dice, and then boom, here they come. They're running across that gap that they were not able to run across before because, oh no, if I'm out in there in the middle and I'm caught, someone's going to shoot me. But if you've got ambush up, they're less likely to do that. And just from a mathematical
Oh,
standpoint,
absolutely.
you're uh, you're already at a disadvantage if you've moved and fired, unless you have assault type weapons. But if you move and you get ambushed and get a pin put on you, and then you try to fire, well, then you're doubly disadvantaged. It's just a great
You turn
tool.
that 5 into a
Yeah.
6, you know? And that immediately after I will talk about the fact that I am taking a multiple rocket launcher system into Fall Brawl. So, I'm like, yeah, make them hit on sixes. That's statistically impossible. Anyway, I'm taking a Katyusha in my next list. Just back to back with no breaks, you
Right. Yeah.
know?
Let's just go. Let's go.
Let's just go. And let's have fun. Let's but every list of mine is going to have an observer. It's going to have at least two forms of anti-tank, three if possible, and it's probably going to have a sniper because more often than not it is a good Swiss Army knife of removing somebody else's advantages, if nothing
Yes,
else.
it's something for them to be worried about.
Is just you placing that sniper because I had this situation where I was going up against I don't think it was Tim, might have been Robin. We're just I had a sniper in a position and so he kept everything clear of it. He's like I've figured out the lane that guy can fire down and I am not touching it. And so my guys had an alleyway they could move up. It's the detriment to this, the downside is that I have a compulsive fear of taking things at inexperienced,
Yes,
which does limit my list building a little bit because everyone knows, the inexperienced medium machine gunner,
right.
right? When you want order dice, but you just don't want to have to commit to a full squad. And I cannot do that. I can't tell you how many times somebody has rolled up on a light mortar or a mortar and been like, I'm looking for threes. And I'm like, nah, you're looking for fours. And they're like, you took them at regular? And it's like, yeah, I took them at
Yeah,
regular.
please enjoy.
This was probably a mistake.
I don't like to take inexperienced infantry either. I don't mind taking regulars. Regulars have served me well. I also don't mind taking green Fallschirmjäger. That's just about the only inexperienced unit that I will regularly take.
Well, do they get stubborn natively? Is that what they get?
Not the green
The
ones. The
Fallschirmjäger?
Fallschirmjäger in general,
No.
yes, but the green Fallschirmjäger, they may as well just be infantry in pretty uniforms. They are not good. What they do have is the ability
Oh,
to take two LMGs in the squad. So I'll take a squad of green Fallschirmjäger,
oh, that is
two
true.
LMGs, an NCO with a submachine gun, and I'll leave them on the back line, just looking for fives. I'm just fishing for fives.
And you know what? You're rolling what, five dice on a German light machine gun. One in five, you're rolling five
Yep.
dice. The Americans can kind of do that with the Marines, except it's a nerf version because you get BARs, which are just worse than taking the regular
Yeah,
rifles.
the way that the
I,
bonuses for the Americans work out, statistically speaking, yes, they are not as good. You don't get the free shots. What
you don't get the free shots, and it's just because the BAR does not get assault rules. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, I have seen them used to pretty decent effect in the past if they're fighting. It's situational. If you come up against another infantry squad that does not have an LMG and does not have anything that can reach out past 24, well, with a practiced eye, you can roll up right within BAR range and just stand in the open and fire at them with your BARs, and they can't fire back at you. How many times is that going to happen? Not very many. But man, when it does, you feel like General Patton.
Well, I mean, the well, hopefully better at your job than he was. Hey, there it is. You had something that was going to piss people off earlier. That was mine. Patton was bad at his job. Rolling forward before I can dig myself deeper by elaborating on that. It's the joke Corey and I had in episode one was, it's situational, but the game is situational.
Yes.
It's about building a situation that you are looking to exploit and then forcing that situation to appear. It's I take anti-tank grenades on my rangers because a 12-inch move and then you just keep them moving forward. Rangers are by default
Right.
veterans. I had 10-man ranger squads. I would take 10 to 12 like hits, two dead.
Yep. They're stout.
There was a situation where Corey and I had Fallschirmjäger, or not Fallschirmjäger, his Goebbels Jaeger, his gerbils, his mountain gerbils, against a ranger squad, and we spent 3 rounds with just zero casualties against each other because it was just you need a five to hit anyway, and then we were getting soft cover saves, so it was a slugfest. It really was.
And when I look at playing a war game, I want there to be some light attrition, protracted firefights. You consider
Oh,
these guys are
100%.
my veterans. They're veterans because they know how to keep their heads down. They know how to conduct themselves in a way that means more of them are going to be leaving the battlefield under their own power. It
Right.
shouldn't be just a big
Right.
slaughter fest like you see in V2 a lot. Oh my gosh, there were so many casualties.
It was brutal for a lot of reasons, but one of the chief ones, at least from what I remember from playing V2, is the fact that like you could so quickly get like pinned out of effectiveness that people just kind of pushed forward.
Yes.
Like I've definitely seen much slower and more methodical gameplay out of V3 than I have out of
Hmm.
V2. Um, and I choose to believe that was by design.
We're going to go ahead and give them the benefit of the doubt and say, yes, that's the way they planned it.
Yes, it
We're going to
emphatic
we're going to
yes. This
overlook
was
we're going to
designed.
overlook all of the typos and all of the problems and just say,
It's a thick book. I still haven't even read it all the way. I just keep the appendix open in the back and switch to pages as I need them.
speaking of that book, man, I would like to put forward to anybody who is running a tournament, any tournament organizers out there, or anybody who thinks they want to become a tournament organizer, if you go over to a table and there is a rules dispute, and one of the guys has his book and the other guy doesn't have his book, the guy with the book wins. Just straight up, because, at least he owns the book. And maybe that's
Yes,
not fair.
he owns and knows how to open the
Yeah,
book.
maybe that's not fair to folks who are like, oh, I don't know, that's a lot of money for a book just to play a game. But maybe if you're a TO, make sure that you have a copy or two of the rule book.
Just on
Yes,
standby.
and encourage people to look the things
Best
up
of.
themselves. If they can't find it with the index, then maybe give them a little bit of help, but encourage use of the book.
Reading the book is really an underrated thing.
Yes,
Truly is. Um, Now, I will say there is some stuff that is not written very well at all in there,
true.
as some of our discussions that have turned heated. Not yours and I's. I am the most annoying kind of person in any sort of rules discussion because I'm just shitposting the entire time. Uh, because like once it well okay, I exercise restraint. I contribute to the discussion in good faith. I share my standpoint, especially on something maybe not written the most clearly. But once it gets to the point where it's clear that people are not going to change their stances and are just looking for fights, that's when I just have fun with
You're like,
it.
well, I'm here to provide the fight.
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys were looking for this. I might as well give
Right.
it because there was a big to do, we'll say, the other day about flak and pintle mounts and what all that means, and I will say there are definitely some rules that could use clarification in the book. Things written vaguely.
And in a game that's supposed to just be about you and your buddies having a good time and beer and pretzels and happy fun times, that's fine. But then we try to
Yeah.
turn it into a balanced, professional, competitive game with a world championship.
And that's when the fighting
Yeah,
starts.
I've gone.
It's the
I've gone to some of the
go
bigger
ahead.
competitions. I went to Warzone Atlanta a couple of years ago. I won the recon tournament on the Friday with a historical list, which that made some people mad. And I've won other tournaments in other places. Like I said, I won with the French in Detroit. I've won with Soviets in Clarksville, Tennessee. And for me, it's more about the people that you're playing rather than the army that you're playing. For one thing, that's something that I tell a whole lot of people about. And in general, competitive gaming is not my happy place. I would much rather be
No,
telling
I
cool stories with funny armies and historical things.
the way because Corey and I were on a board together, and even though the board had a board list, it wasn't the most cleanly written out thing. If you're wrong about the rules, at least be in agreement
Yes,
about the wrong rules.
yes,
Like we looked at something and we're like, we don't want to play it like that because it will just bog down the experience for both of us. So we are going to mutually agree right now to ignore that specific thing. And this is how we've agreed to play. We're both fine with this. Let's move
And
on.
that mutually agreeing part is the operative statement within that entire line of thinking. If something is going to apply to you, then it needs to apply to your opponent as well. If you're firing at my guys that are in
You
buildings and you're only giving me a light cover save, but when I fire at you in the exact same type of building and you want a heavy cover save, no, we're not going to do that.
That's not how that one
No,
works. We, whatever we get, we both
that's
gotta
right.
get. And I think that going back to, way back to a throwaway line you had at the beginning, the social contract of the game is just that's why I can never get into. It's the reason I can't get into Magic the Gathering, but it's the reason I can't get into hyper competitive games is that I am there to shoot the shit and have a good
Yes,
time, and my opponent is there to win.
right.
These are not compatible philosophies of tabletop
I find
gaming.
myself a lot of times, even in a competitive standpoint, if my opponent is getting ready to do something that is going to just have them dropping right into my dastardly plan, I'll I'll let them know. I'll be like, hey man, I don't know if you want to do that or not, because if you do that, then I'm going to do
Just
this.
to Yeah, just to let you know, I have three separate things on ambush, and they've all right in
Yeah,
there. Like if I were to write doctrine about like a kill zone or the fatal funnel, as it were, this is the picture I would include. This is great value fatal funnel
yes.
101 right here.
And knowing your opponent too, there's a guy that I play against in Louisville a lot, and he's a murder hobo for all you role players out there who know what that phrase means. Man, you get him going, and I'm gonna kill every guy on the board. I'm gonna wipe your whole army out. Okay, great, dude, because the objective is to get off the other side of the map. So you do that, buddy. And I always know how to approach games with him. Just push that mark of corn on his forehead until he loses his mind and just goes on a kill spree and forgets all the objectives. And knowing
It
knowing
is
other players and getting to know other players, that goes very far toward my philosophy for gaming against people. I can take whatever kind of army I want to take. I can have the best plan in the world going into it. The old saying that you know the battle plan never survives the first contact with the enemy
first contact with them. Yeah.
does apply. So what I like to do is I like to find out what my opponent's favorite unit is. Corey, for example, his 100 pounder.
Oh, that 100 pounder
Yeah,
barrage.
425 pounders
That is.
and no
Yep.
gun shields. No, why would I put gun shields on them? That's extra points. I need those points so I can have all four of them, and I can call it the
And
100
if I'm
pounder.
getting shot at, things have probably already gone wrong.
Yeah. So you find out what their favorite thing is, and you try to put pins on it immediately. And you just see the wind fall out of their sails.
It's the flip side of that as well is building a screw around list because you know what the guy's gonna take.
Yeah.
Breaking from bolt action real quick, there's a game called Marvel Crisis
Hmm.
Protocol. I don't know if I can recommend it in good faith. One of the game shop that I still consider it my home game shop. Spiritually, Victory Pints will always be home. The shop owner, his name was Riley, incredible guy. He had like every Crisis Protocol character. And so we would play. He would just let me grab any combination of them I wanted to play, and we would just play. It was great. Had a great time. Would probably wouldn't buy these on my own, but always loved playing with him. Well, there's one guy there. His name's James. I keep up with the guy. Great dude. He's coming. He's potentially coming over for Gen Con. Um, it doesn't matter, and like this, we knew it was always going to end up like this. It doesn't matter what objective was drawn because we were just going to spend the whole game trying to kill each other.
Right.
Because what is the point of giving me like Moon Knight with all of these really great attacks if you're expecting me to sit at the back and protect a computer the entire time? No, I'm here to kill
Moon Knight
somebody.
does not sit back and protect computers.
No, Moon Knight does not sit back. Maybe one of them, maybe Mr. Knight sits back and protect the
Right.
computers, but it's Moon Knight right now. It's the avatar of Khonshu. And so whatever, like we finished one game and Riley came up and was like, "Oh, what objective were you playing?" And we're both like, "You know what? We kind of forgot.
Yeah.
We've been brawling in the street for 4 turns. Kind of forgot what we were supposed to be doing."
Yeah. That's kind of.
And that's how I play against Corey.
Just like Hulk smash, Hulk does not protect computer.
It's
Khonshu does not
no,
say protect
it's
computer. Sometimes you just gotta,
no. Khonshu says
yeah, you gotta
kill.
play to the type. If you're playing your Fallschirmjäger, they're probably not going to be hanging out on the backside of the board defending things in most cases.
No, it's like, oh, go protect that fuel barrel. Or I could go, take some people
Yeah, I
out,
could go
defend the fatherland and
go
all
seek
that.
some glory here.
we're not on campaign to protect fuel
Right.
barrels.
That's not the purpose. Man, I love campaign style
That
gaming though. Trying to
I do
harken
too.
back to Battle of France book from V2 that had the company commander rule set in it that allowed for you to have a persistent campaign. It allowed you to keep experience points for your core unit, your command element, and your two squads that were compulsory, and everything else would just come and go. You were basically tracking the story of that one that one particular platoon, and that's what I want to do with our gaming in Louisville moving forward. Some of our gaming events are going to go further away from traditional tournament style play and go more toward gaming event. So we want to foster a different type of play. We don't want you to bring your meanest, sweatiest army necessarily. We want you to bring something that is well thought out and is going to work with the theme. So I want to have a game where, like you were talking before, where you submit multiple lists. Round one, it's going to be a recon fight. We're going to have 500 points, and you're going to put your guys out there who are going to be the best at doing recon type things. And if you lose a full squad, it's gone. After round one, every squad that at least has some people remaining, they get reconstituted. They get supplied back up to full strength. Round two shows up. Now you choose from your points of infantry that you have left and vehicles that you have left, and this time we're going to bring 1,000 points. So anyone who survived the first fight, along with your other guys that you had in your pool, your say 2,000 point pool, can participate in the second fight. Out of those that survive, by the time you get to the third round, it's your battle royale. Everything you have left comes out on the board.
Battle phase one, battle phase two, like
Yes,
up to full development of the
right.
engagement.
And
That is
and the
incredible.
extra added spice on that is that if you completely lose a unit, it's gone. If your
That is
if your tank gets
wow.
knocked
That
out, your
is
tank is gone, and that would give you a good reason to say, hey, maybe I need to bring a tank recovery vehicle that they had rules for
oh.
in the armor variant of V2 Tank Wars.
Drag it off the
Right.
fight, get a new engine, get a new crew, comes
Yep.
back on. I think it would be a lot of fun to do something like that, especially over like a weekend.
Yes.
Do especially once we get the campaign books or the scenario books when they start coming
Hmm.
out. I think that would be an incredible experience.
So what else do we want to cover here today? We've talked about Fall
Well,
Brawl a lot. We've talked about the BattleMatBazaar.com and
you know,
Sprudu.
there's just one thing I want to swing back to real quick, and that was the order in which matches are played in a tournament matters more than the average person thinks.
Yes.
And I can give you an excellent example. I was at a match. I was at a weekend tournament like 3 weekends ago now because of scheduling conflicts and technical errors at Family Time Games in Indianapolis, and it began on a kill fest. And let me tell you, you really got to end the day on a kill fest
Yeah.
because after two and a half hour rounds, asking me to keep an objective in mind should be considered a war crime.
Absolutely.
Like that should be punishable. I should get tournament points for that because my brain is mush at the end of 5 hours of play, not counting intermissions and running long and extra time and everything. And so that end on a kill fest, guys. If you are thinking about running a tournament or a day long event, whatever your final one is, just collect order dice. That's it. That's your objective.
I saw a little bit of the mental breakdown happen at one of the 502nd events that was held at the Patton Museum in Radcliffe, Kentucky, in which Corey was playing against my daughter Rose, and the objective was to get off the other edge of the board. Move your guys off the other side
Oh,
of the
good
board.
old storm the
Yeah.
beach.
And in this particular case, it had been a long day already. Corey was tired. Rose was tired. And they're like, you know what? We're just going to put everybody in trucks and just charge right at each other and see what happens.
Just to find
Yeah.
out.
And that was like a 20-minute,
You never know your
about a
luck.
20-minute game of bolt action. They had a good time, but they were done. By that point of the game, they were
Yeah, oh
done.
yeah.
So if we were asking them to do something super complicated in round 3, yeah, I'm sorry, tournament organizers, you're not going to get it.
You're not gonna get it. You're not if you're doing quarter deploy or if you're doing, top secret. Nope. We are going to charge at each other and we're gonna shoot until that's the
Yep,
end of
and
it.
that's just going to have to be the way that it is. And I'm sorry about your grand vision for your tournament, but this is what you get.
Them's the
Yeah,
breaks. It has been three 1100 point matches. I'm ready.
yeah. I'm starting to pack my army up before the game is even over at that point.
Yeah, my units are dying and they're going straight into the
Yep.
box. I'm not. I'll keep their order dice separate so we know who's been wiped out. But the guys are going straight into the box. I think that is a good episode for now. When we'll have Corey back next week, we'll be able to go into some harder hitting stuff like the British lists and everything. It's been really good just sitting and chatting about the hobby with you, though.
Absolutely. This has been a great time. And I know a lot of people they've received their British books within the last couple of days, or maybe will be getting them in the next couple of days. So that'll be a good opportunity for us to crack open the books and take a look and talk about it next time.
Unfortunately, we're Yanks, which means we get everything a little bit
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
But that is what I got. As always, we're going to go ahead and plug Fall Brawl right here. Unfortunately, I will not have the time realistically to get this edited and out before Gen Con. So I can't really do. If you're at Gen Con, look for us. We'll have cameras. I'll probably just tweet. But yeah, if you are anywhere near that area or you're interested in hanging out, Facebook page for the Fighting 502nd will be linked, and as will the Fall Brawl.
And as always, support your local store and look for opportunities to bring more people into the hobby. All right, well, thanks a whole lot for having me on today, and everybody, keep rolling high.
Looking forward to the next time. Goodbye, everybody.